All right. And with that, I am very happy to welcome my friend and colleague, Mia Martino, to the program today. So Mia is the Ombudsman here in Frederick County. She has worked with seniors for almost 30 years at the Division of Senior Services, formerly known as the Department of Aging. And in that time, Mia's worked really with the most vulnerable of our seniors. Mia's career has brought her incredible joy and many life lessons. Mia's a mom. She holds multiple degrees or degrees from multiple colleges. Mia's also been a caregiver, caring for her grandfather until his death just this year, which she notes to be the most noble job she's ever had. So Mia is certainly one who holds caregiving near and dear to her heart, and brings that perspective with her in her role as the Ombudsman. So I'm going to go ahead and make Mia the spotlight so that you can see her. Mia, welcome. Okay, hang on one second. Mia, I am not seeing you. All right, folks, bear with me one second. All right. It looks like we might be having a little bit of technical difficulty, so we're going to let Mia come back on. Please be patient with us, and we will get Mia going. There she is. Sorry about that, folks. You would think after 2 years on Zoom that we would all be super proficient, but it just doesn't always work that way. But we go with the flow. I know that you as caregivers know exactly how to go with the flow. So Mia, sorry about that.
Oh, it's okay. I think it could have been my end with the internet. Who knows?
Perfect.
But hello, everyone. Welcome.
All right, Mia, take it away.
Okay. I would like to introduce Jamie Duva. She is my trusted sidekick with the Ombudsman program. And we have had the honor of having her on the Ombudsman staff since April of this year. And Jamie helps me on a part-time basis. So I want you all to meet her. So I'm very blessed to have her on staff. So welcome to learning more about the Ombudsman program. It's a program that was authorized in the 60s under the Older Americans Act. So I'm going to share some slides with you. So, like I said, Jamie and we cover the Ombudsman program in Frederick County. There's approximately 19 jurisdictions of Ombudsman programs, long-term care Ombudsman programs in the state of Maryland. We cover probably 30,000 beds in Maryland. In Frederick County, we have about 1,100 beds. The word ombudsman is actually a Scandinavian word. It's very hard, honestly, for the residents in nursing homes to say. I'm going to be very blunt about it. Pretty much, Jamie and I get the word, hey, you, or the words, hey, you, thrown out at us very often, and it's mispronounced, but we'll pretty much answer to anything. The word ombudsman means advocate, and you might find that if some of you are in a sandwich generation, that the Frederick County Board of Education has an ombudsperson that is a new position that advocates for families. So you might see that position. Sometimes you'll see that the Medicare entity has an ombuds position to help with insurance questions. The IRS also has an ombudsman position to help with tax questions. So other entities also have an ombudsman position. So in Frederick County, like I said, we have myself, a full-time ombudsman, and Jamie, she's a part-time ombudsman. Other jurisdictions in Maryland have a team of 6 people. When you get to like Montgomery County, Baltimore, they have 4 people on their ombudsman team. In Frederick County, we have 7 nursing homes. And I'm just giving you just a brief demographics of what the long-term care system in our community looks like. And when I say long-term care community, I'm talking specifically about nursing homes and assisted living. That's all that Jamie and I provide advocacy to, is to those residents and families that are looking for advocacy in those communities. So we have 7 nursing homes, and we have 22 assisted livings. Now, I want to let you know that assisted livings in our community can look like a corporate model, so they can have a campus. They can have approximately anywhere from about 110 people, or they can have anywhere from like 4 people and look like to a residential house in our community. We do have in Frederick a couple, and that would be 3 small group homes that are spread out within Frederick County, that are houses that provide assisted living services. A lot of people call us and they intermingle the word nursing home and assisted living together, but they're actually very different. You might say, hey, well, what's the difference? Well, part of that continuum is that an assisted living is just that. It's an assisted living. It assists people. It might, excuse me, assist people only with dressing, toileting, and bathing for a resident. Some facilities might only provide nurse maybe 16 out of a 24-hour period. They might not provide 24/7 care. Sometimes they might only have what's called a care manager. They might not have certified nursing assistants providing direct care to a loved one. Some facilities might not even have staff that are awake at night. And this is an assisted living. They also, assisted livings do have COMAR regulations and do have oversight through the Office of Healthcare Quality. And the Office of Healthcare Quality provides the license. However, they're not regulated nearly as much as a nursing home. So you say, well, what is a nursing home then? Well, a nursing home, they give more care, usually total care for your loved one. A loved one might need total care with showering, dressing, and might need total care or a lot of assistance with feeding. Most of the employees there, if not all of them, have a certification. The nursing staff or even the aides will carry a license, a geriatric certified nursing assistants. The people that dispense the pills will have a license and a medicine tech. All the nursing homes that have social work departments or have greater than 60 residents will have accessibility to a social worker. Their families can talk to a social worker. Most of these skilled facilities will provide wound care. Some of these facilities will have even a specialized unit, such as a ventilation unit. They'll provide dialysis or get your loved one to a dialysis unit. All of these beds that are in a nursing home have a dual license, meaning that they are certified in both Medicare and Medicaid. or also medical assistance. Medicaid and medical assistance are the same program. They're just spoke about interchangeably. When someone receives medical assistance or Medicaid, they have to meet a medical need, and they also have to have the financial assets of under $2,500 to receive that benefit. And that benefit is applied for at the Department of Social Services. Now we can talk, and I want to hear from you. A lot of times, if any of you have applied for that program, it's a little bit hard to hear from the Department of Social Services. And I'd like to hear from you if any of you have experienced that. The nursing, we visit the nursing homes. We, the Ombudsman, visit the nursing homes approximately every 6 to 8 weeks. For the assisted livings, the Ombudsman program does a non-complaint routine access visit every 10 to 12 weeks. Now, I touched upon very briefly about the regulatory agencies. Each facility in Frederick County is regulated and has a license through the Office of Healthcare Quality. The Office of Healthcare Quality monitors every facility and has their license provided to the facility. They can also pass down any kind of punitive damage if the facility does not comply with any regulation through the COMAR system. Now, once you have your loved one enter into a facility, I find that it's very important for your loved one and for the family to participate into a care plan. A care plan is a good way for the family and the staff to work together. It's important to let your, for the staff or the primary caregiver in the facility to know when your loved one wakes up in the morning, what kind of food they like, what kind of dietary restrictions they have. It just helps to maintain a good communication, and it just helps to smooth the transition from home into the facility. Everyone wants to be a good team and for it to be a good experience. And I think that helping with good communication is the key to making it a good stay for everyone. Because even though you might not be caregiving at home, you're still caregiving at the facility. You're going to visit, you're trying to make sure that mom or dad or your husband or your wife is maintaining a good stay at the facility, and you're paying for a lot of money for the service. So upon admission, you can have a care plan, is usually what they're called in a nursing home, or a service plan in an assisted living. They're the same meeting. So you can ask for the meeting upon admission, or usually every 90 days or on a quarterly basis, or if you find that there's been a change in condition. A change in condition is if they've fallen, let's say there's been a rapid change in condition. Usually large weight loss is really a sign that there's been a change in condition. Usually that means that there's been some kind of disease process going on. When you meet with a primary caregiver or a key staff member, it's usually the dietary staff, a unit manager, physical therapist. Those are examples of who the key staff people are. I'd like to keep it down to like 5 questions when you're going through a care plan. And I also like to keep it around 15 to 20 minutes. I think that's a good time and a good recommendation. You can always go for more. But remember, you're taking these key staff people off the floor where they're caring for other people. You want to be concise. You want to go in and prepare, and you kind of want to go in there like a sniper. Go in, be prepared, and know what you're talking about. Again, you're taking them off the floor and you want to know what you're talking about. So you want to go in, see what the weight's been. If you're noticing a lot of fluctuation in someone's weight, I'm saying 10%, you know that something's going on. They could be on like some kind of med change, like a diuretic. Also ask about how the skin's doing. You can tell a lot about someone's skin. If there's any kind of skin breakdown, they're not getting enough nutrition. Maybe they're not getting enough hydration. See what their activity participation are. I have to tell you, activities, people, are very important. If someone's staying in bed and they're not doing anything, perhaps that's an indicator for depression. Maybe they're not feeling good. Something else is going on secondary. Maybe something's going on with their mood. So see what's going on with their activity participation. Also, food. If the food, that could indicate with the weight change. If they're staying in bed, again, it's all integrated and it all gives a good picture of the person. Also, write down what your goals are for the loved one. It's okay to just maintain. It's okay to just maintain. Nursing homes and assisted livings are not where we're preparing for the Olympics. We need to just keep the focus on maintaining. Maybe it's just for somebody just to engage in a conversation, and that's okay. So it's important to keep focused on that. So again, I go back to the focus of the regulatory agency. The Office of Healthcare Quality, we work very closely, the Ombudsman, with that entity. Currently, we have this regulatory agency in a nursing home right now. Jamie and myself, have been working very closely with this nursing home. They've had some staffing issues, and they've also had some dietary issues with staff from that entity walking off. So we've been working very closely with them, and the residents have not been happy. And we need a voice to the regulatory agency about how the staffing with both the nursing and the dietary haven't been good at this facility, and see if any actual patterns in the staffing have actually led to a jeopardy tag, which the facility will be given a punitive damage to, and they'll have to put a plan of correction together. And we work closely with them. The facility will have to, again, put a plan of correction in place and remedy how they're going to fix the issue for these residents. The facility will actually have to have this tag remedied, or they could face a failure with admissions and could face a halt in having any more residents come into the facility and be placed on a closure status. If this is not remedied, the corporation will again be faced on fines. Again, the facility will be placed on a disciplinary action. As I said before, nursing homes are monitored every 12 to 18 months. Assisted livings are monitored every 18 to 24 through the Office of Healthcare Quality. The Ombudsman program does monitor our facilities in Frederick County pretty much on a monthly basis. However, when we were through a pandemic status with COVID-19, the survey teams did not get out as frequently as stated. They were running probably on a lag of every 36 months, but we've pretty much caught up now. I will disclose to you why we were on a COVID status through quarantine. It was really hard for families and loved ones to get out to visit loved ones in facilities. There were executive orders that places were quarantined, but that very much is lax now. And that's been really good for the residents because it was really hard for them. A lot of them were just told that they had to stay in the room for months on end, and it was really hard. And during COVID, I think the unsung heroes were activity professionals. So they really did a wonderful job with electronics, Skyping families, and doing activities where like people would peer in through windows and doing one-on-one. So they are really unsung heroes during the pandemic. It was a tough time. So the Ombudsman program, not only do we work with the regulatory agency of OHCQ, but we also work with Adult Protective Services, law enforcement, because crimes are committed in nursing homes and assisted livings. Not to scare you if you haven't placed anyone into one of those kind of buildings, things do happen. People have things stolen. Sadly, sometimes there's assaults that happen. We work with the local hospital. We also work with emergency management services. If there's like a big storm coming up, especially during the winter, if power's out and a place loses power or people need to be placed at another facility. Sadly, if someone faces discharge and if they have no place to go, if there's a homeless shelter, usually that happens very, very rarely. Day programs, we work closely with adult evaluation and review services. If somebody's looking into going into a nursing home, to get them to have like services reviewed while they're in the community to see how they're doing, to get the level of care so that they can go into a nursing home. We work closely with hospice. The hospice program can go into a nursing home and provide services. Medicare does cover that benefit. And we work closely with just educating the community and all the citizens in Frederick County. So we're currently working with our deaf community to enforce that translators and interpreters do need to come into facilities. So we are working with that group right now currently. So anyway, does anyone have any questions? We're just really trying to amp up advocacy for that group of people, our most vulnerable citizens of Frederick County. Does anyone have any questions?
Folks, go ahead and use that chat box if you have any questions for Mia. We'll keep an eye on that, and Mia will throw those questions to you as they come in.
Anyone have any questions I can answer about medical assistance to the best of my abilities? Now, that program is not run through our division, but I know that it is very tough.
Here's a question, Mia. So how would someone get in touch with you to be an advocate for a senior in a facility?
Okay, so they can call me directly at 301-600-2877. I've also posted Jamie's number, and our main number is very easy. It's 301-600-1234, and I'm the only Mia here. So please give me a call.
Mia, are assisted livings rated like nursing homes?
They are not, and I'll tell you why, because they do not receive federal funding. I see in the future, though, in my crystal ball, that in the future that the federal government will probably, because so many people are utilizing assisted livings, that the federal government perhaps in the future will consider including them in some kind of regulatory process. Now, assisted livings do not take medical assistance like nursing homes do. And that's why nursing homes are so heavily regulated. They get federal funding. So I think in the future, assisted livings will get more federal assistance in the future. I don't know when it's coming, but once they do, they'll get more federal oversight. And then that's when more regulation will come.
Mia, our memory care, memory care facilities, is that the same as assisted living? Are they also
It
under
is.
your oversight?
So memory care units are assisted livings. Now, our Office of Healthcare Quality in Maryland does give them a specific programming designation. They do. Like they might have to have like a certain level of programming. Okay. Like have a certain designation for the programming, but it's not like something profound. It's more of a marketing, like more marketing that they'll have programming. They have smaller, maybe like a smaller inclusive environment, more staff, like a staffing ratio that is more inclusive of the resident. Like maybe it could be like 1 to 3 residents, 1 staff to 3 residents.
So they would be under your oversight as well.
Exactly. That yes, they would.
So Mia, let me ask you this. So my mom is in a facility, she's unhappy, and there have been some care things that I'm not sure about. Would I call you? What's my first course of action when I am really getting concerned about the care she's getting?
Sure. So you can call Jamie or myself. Our calls are free and they're anonymous.
Mia, do you recommend, is there a chain of command, for example? Should we try to address things with the facility first, or should we call you?
You know what? You can call me first, because like I'm going to listen to you and tell you specifically about a chain of command, and we can talk it through.
Oh, interesting. So you can kind of help give me guidance so that then I can go back to the facility with a little more confidence that I'm talking to the right people.
Right. And also, Jamie and I do participate in care planning. So we can, or if you want to call us, we can help prep you for care planning. Like I usually will say, like, so what was her starting weight at admission? Like it was 150. Okay, so what have you noticed? Well, it went down to 135. Well, what is she eating? Well, she's only eating mashed potatoes. Well, I can suggest maybe you should get a speech and language evaluation, because maybe she's having trouble swallowing. Do you think she's had a stroke? Well, maybe you don't want to get all the tests for her like a MRI, but maybe she's having problem swallowing. Maybe she should get a barium swallowing test. Maybe that could be a suggestion. And maybe they need to make her diet a little bit modified. And those are some ideas that we can just bounce off. I'm not a doctor, but maybe it's just some things that I've had experience, like working. I do have a little bit of experience working in long-term care. And we can talk about some things that could be helpful.
Excellent. Mia, are you able to get involved when multiple family members are in disagreement about the care for a parent in a facility?
Well, that is a good opportunity for family mediation. And we do have a wonderful mediation center in Frederick, CALM. And I'd like to refer families to CALM. And I'm not a trained mediator. And I think CALM is really the best bet for families. There are also, if families are willing to go through mediation, there are some really wonderful court appointed. It could be a little bit of money, but it's well worth it. Some court appointed elder law attorneys that are trained in mediation.
Mia, I see, when you have that list up of all the other agencies that you work with, and you have been working here in Frederick County for so many years, right? You really are a good resource for people that if you're not the right person to answer the long-term question, you probably know who the right person is and can help guide them.
I'd like to think I am, and I will actually tell families, I like to listen to people, but I will not hesitate to say I'm really not the right person. I will give a little bit of help, but I really am okay with saying that I think I might know somebody who might be able to help.
Excellent. Mia, here's a question about assisted livings and how disabled can a person be and be accepted into assisted living? Are there rules that specify that?
Now, okay, so assisted living, I have to tell you, and I was just talking to my colleagues about this. Assisted livings, people are really getting sicker coming into assisted livings. It really depends on what the manager who is doing the admitting feels that they can handle. Now, if someone comes in and they gradually get sicker, you can ask for a waiver. Usually, and assisted livings I see on their contracts, and I'm not a lawyer, they have different levels. When I started my ombudsman work, you had level 1, 2, and 3. But now they have level 5A, 6, and they can do the increments based on money steps. But remember, these are not skilled nursing homes. So if you start having skin breakdown and then there's an infection and then you need wound care, you are really getting into a teetering spot of needing skilled nursing care. So you're really dealing with someone's safety, their health safety. I've seen some people that have been in some assisted livings, and I've talked to my colleague Jamie here, and I've been whispering under my breath, this person needs skilled care.
And so the assisted livings, as you said, they're licensed for various levels of care. So their admission people should be recognizing what they can accommodate and can't. Mia, I'm not sure if you can hear me. Your audio went out for a second.
She's frozen, I think.
Frozen in time. So we'll give a second to see if Mia unfreezes. Mia, if you want to jump out and back in, maybe. One of the questions that we have here, and I'm not sure if one of my co-hosts has any answers for this, but oh, here she comes.
Sorry, if I stay idle for too long, it kicks me out.
No problem. I've got another question for you, Mia.
Okay, I hope I answered that. If you've got the money, you can stay there.
Well, Mia, you can stay in that facility if the facility is licensed to accommodate that particular level of care, right? There could come a time where an assisted living would say that the medical needs are too great, it's beyond their scope. And you
right, if you have a really good, trustworthy administrator, that'll say that, but I've seen some that won't do that.
And that will keep somebody.
Exactly.
Beyond their scope. Mia, somebody writes that they see a need for individuals to advocate for better regulations for the care of residents in nursing homes and assisted livings to work together to bring positive change. Are there groups already formed that are doing this kind of work?
I feel like there are. It's a small group. We have a small group. I feel like we have a small family council in Frederick that is really working hard to change some policy for assisted living, and it's headed by, I don't know if I can say this, but I will, the Carrolls, Deb and George Carroll, and they're really working it's a small family-based group, and they're really working hard to change some things in assisted living. If anyone's interested, they've really spearheaded for some change. It's going to take a long time, but I think they're really doing great, and I really admire them.
And that's change at the policy level, right?
They are working with the legislator.
Excellent. Here's another question. Is there an amount of time that you need to provide to an assisted living or nursing home if you would like to take your loved one home when they are in hospice?
You know what? I would look at your contract, but if you're working with hospice, you don't have time. And I would just call us and we can work something out. I'm just a real advocate for that. We just don't have time.
Thanks, Mia. Folks, we've got a couple more minutes. If you have any other questions about a loved one being in a long-term care facility, whether it's a small residential home or a big assisted living or nursing home, Mia and Jamie are here. Who is the best specialist to determine if a loved one needs skilled nursing care versus assisted living? In your experience, are the individuals making assessments for assisted living honest to make that decision?
So I would call AIRS, that's Adult Evaluation and Review Services. That is, their number is 301-600-1736. They will come out to your house. Diane Grove heads that organization. If you go into a nursing home, they'll do a level of care assessment, and that'll go to a third party called Telegen. And Telegen gives the level, the sacred level of care. The level of care also can be appealed if you feel that it just wasn't a good day for your loved one. So know that. The level, again, is a third-party opinion. Telegen will also follow that person. The Telegen will follow the MDS, the minimum data set in the nursing home for your loved one. And that will be given every 30 days if your loved one's in a nursing home. That is the medical piece. The medical piece, and remember I said the medical and the financial piece, that'll make your loved one eligible for the medical assistance when they go into the nursing home.
Mia, I just want to jump back to the question about going home when they're a hospice. So someone has pointed out that there is a assisted living regulation and a contract that says that there is a 30-day notice required for any reason. I guess paying attention to your contracts is really important, isn't it?
It is, but you know what? We can get involved and fight it. The worst case scenario is you may lose your deposit, but I feel like, I mean, it would be in poor taste for a building to not give your deposit back when somebody is dying. And I would fight that. I really would. And Jamie can concur with me, but I would fight that as an advocate.
Excellent. So Mia, again, you tell us again your phone number. Sure.
I always joke around. I don't know if any of the caregivers remember this. 8675309. Jenny. Anyway, it's 301-600-2877. And part of my personality is I tell some jokes because like this all is very serious stuff. And I think humor is a great way to relieve the stress, because caregiving is a very serious job, but sometimes you got to laugh at some of the little small victories that you still see when you're taking care of someone.
Mia, I've got another question that's just popped in, and folks, we do have a few more minutes. If you have other questions, get them into the chat box. But Mia, someone asked, can a resident of a nursing home or exclusive memory care facility be discharged for psychiatric reasons?
Okay, I fight this one too. They could, but they better not when Mia's around. They could. But I always say, let's try to get them stabilized first. Okay, because we're dealing with people with organic brain disease. Frederick doesn't have a lot. We don't have a psychiatric unit that's geriatric specialized. So I always encourage, let's get them to our local hospital. They try to stabilize, which they can sometimes. Sometimes we need to encourage them to go to a different facility, maybe Levendale, which does a good job. Shepherd Pratt has a geriatric specific unit, but can we hold the bed? Sometimes I ask for a provider to hold the bed, maybe put it in writing. Or do we have another facility that's close that we have to come back to? I just really, I don't like to see our community, one, discriminate against those, because really, like, if they don't have a history of psychiatric, like, really, we're dealing with an organic brain disorder, and the psychiatric component has just become exacerbated. So I really like to see, like, what else can we have to offer so we can have them come back to Frederick. It's just not fair. So I really try to work with the family. So give me a call. Like, I really try to see what we can do to hold that bed. Because sometimes it's just like some medicine tweaking. You know, what can we do? Sometimes Frederick's hospital system, we're just not adequately able to deal with it. We might have to go to Baltimore for like 2 weeks, not so much for psychiatric placement, just for like a little bit of tweaking, because we are dealing with organic brain dysfunction. Sometimes providers will call me beforehand to kind of give me a heads up too.
Thanks, Mia.
Mhm.
Mia, I think one last thing before we close, but do you have any suggestions for people who are in facilities or are going into facilities? What are some things that they can do to set themselves up for success? All right, and we know not every place is perfect. We know that there's going to be issues, and we know that some of them are going to require your assistance, but are there things that people can do to help make that transition easier, as far as making connections and avoiding problems before they happen?
I would say try to build a good rapport with your, like, maybe with some CNAs. I think they, if you can, there is I'm not going to lie about this, there is a really big turnover in CNAs, or try to connect with a primary caregiver, like somebody that you might notice who might be providing direct care with someone. I think that's really important. Label all clothes. You'll lose clothes like nobody's business. Label those clothes. Maybe only bring 3 outfits in at a time, but definitely make some direct connections with primary caregivers. Definitely connect with the activities people, so you know that they're at least getting out of bed, or at least doing some one-on-one activity, or at least if they like pets, they're getting a pet visit. I really think activity people are really important. Just so, and maybe take your loved one around the facility. Don't leave them in the room, but when you do a visit, like, actively engage and maybe take a walk around with them, so you can say, hey, mom, this is the PT, or hey, look, here's the activity room. You might have to do that a couple of times just so they can kind of figure out, like, where things are a little bit, just to be proactive, so they kind of learn their way as well. Just like with a kid at school, I think it's important to get them used to the facility.
Mia and I haven't mentioned it yet. I don't want to interrupt, but a lot of the facilities have family councils for families to join. And if your facility doesn't have a family council, I really encourage you to start one, because your family member may have an issue that someone 2 beds away has. And just knowing that other family members are going through some of the same things that you're going through is really helpful. And I also encourage the residents to join resident council. Mia and I speak at resident councils all the time, and they're really, really important and beneficial for the residents, because they can learn about what's going on in their facility, but they can also, it gives them a sort of a sacred place where they can say what they want, and nothing is repeated. And and family members are not allowed in the resident council meetings. It's strictly for residents, but they really get a sense of empowerment when they go to the resident council meetings. I really encourage anyone who's moving in to join the resident councils, and for families to join family council.
Yeah, they don't even have to call it like a family council. It could just be like a family meeting, or just, so it doesn't even have to be as formal as council.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be. It can be as formal as you would like.
Yeah, definitely.
Excellent. That's great advice. Another question just popped up. Are activities and movement around the nursing home permitted now, or is the pandemic still impacting group programming and entertainers?
They are moving around some. Yes, yes, but I have a feeling do it now because I don't know what the winter's going to bring.
Oh, that's
So,
daunting, but good
yeah.
advice.
Yeah, but do it now. We do have some warm days. It might get cooler. Get outside.
Perfect.
A lot of these activity people, they try to do as many things with animal therapy. If your loved one likes that, let them know. Let them know, like, they're not mind readers. Talk to them. Say, Mom, I used to love this. I see like people like car clubs, and let them know if you know somebody who has a car club, or let them know if you know somebody who has like quilts and they can put them on display. It takes a village.
That's a great advice. So be a resource to the staff,
Yeah.
the activity staff, and share your connections. That's a great idea, Mia.
Mhm.
Ladies, this has been a wonderful presentation. Folks in the audience, I hope that you've had your questions answered, or hopefully hearing Mia and Jamie speak will give you some insights and tips as you navigate long-term care. It's not easy, right? There's the whole emotional component of having a loved one in a facility. There's the day-to-day reality of having a loved one in a facility. There's the financial burden of having a loved one in a facility. It can all be really overwhelming, but get connected, ask questions, and by all means, if you have concern or something at the facility just isn't feeling right, give Mia and Jamie a call and process that and see if they can give you some guidance to help make things better.
Right. And Rosemary Dumont, this is my phone number, 301-600-2877. And on another note, with activities, Girl Scouts too, or any of the children's choirs, bring them in or have them stand outside with a microphone. Those residents would love that.
Awesome. Ladies, thank you so much. Audience members, thank you for joining us. Really quick, I want to let you know that our next webinar is November 9th. We are very excited to have Tim Jones, who is from Driving Rehabilitation in Frederick, talking about seniors and driving, helping to understand what those red flags are, things that you should be paying attention to as you evaluate whether an older person should continue to be driving, and how to start that conversation about whether or not they should be doing that driving. So I'm looking forward that it should be an excellent presentation. So November 9th, that registration will open up later today. And you can get there via espcfrederick.com. Thank you again for joining us this afternoon. Thank you to Daybreak for sponsoring our presentation today. And again, you can call me at Daybreak 301-696-0808 for any information about our program here. So with that, I wish you all a great afternoon. Enjoy the sunny weather before the rain comes tomorrow, and we will see you all next month. Take care.